we on?
Hello, I think we are.
Okay, great.
Hi,
everyone. Welcome. Another research rally here at Seminole State College of Florida. Information Jason here with Library Ross Martin.
Yep,
and we have some folks joining us. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, hello, welcome. Go ahead and give us a chat here and let us know that you're out there. We're trying to do everything here. Let's say hi, everybody.
Hello, hello.
There you go. And put a little emoji in the chat. How you feeling today? Everybody feeling good? Feeling bad? Feeling up? Feeling down? There's a lot of different options here, yeah? So we got our music going. Today's music is brought to you by the word lo-fi. Lo-fi music. So go ahead and use the chat. We'll try to get you your questions answered if you have them. Go ahead and use the chat. Again, you're going to be watching live on the YouTube channel, and we're here on StreamYard, Jason and Ross, and we'll be looking at your annotated bibliographies today. If you're working on an assignment for your ENC class, we want to help you find the information you need to succeed. So we'll point you in the right direction for those databases. We'll go over whatever questions you may have, or we'll just kind of point you again in the right direction. So without further ado, Ross, do you have a screen that you would like to share, and maybe we can get that going?
Sure. I will go ahead and share my screen. Wrong one. Now.
Yay.
I think I shared the wrong screen.
No, that's my screen. There's your screen. Who's on first? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, we've done this before. So what Jason and I thought we'd talk about today is one of the common, literary assignments that you're going to see, not just in literature classes, but you're going to see these annotated bibliographies. I work with many English 2 classes who do this. It's a really, really common assignment. And what I was thinking of talking about today a little bit is how to use these different databases to complete a really good annotated bibliography. So thinking of this through the lens of literature, like let's say we're doing this English 2 project here. What I'm looking at is a list of the best databases to accomplish that job. So I pulled up a list of some of our best choices here. And I was thinking these 3 in the best bets category would probably be the ones that we'd want to look at today. They're my favorites. I use all 3 of them just about any time I have a research project that I'm dealing with. So one of the first ones I thought we might take a look at today is this Gale literature database. So what you would do is I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and it would ask you to log in. I'm probably already logged in. I am indeed. But in order to log into anything on our college library system, you'll need to first sign in using your college email address and your Canvas password. So as your Canvas password changes, your library password will also change, and those kind of things. So when we're talking about doing an annotated bibliography, you're going to have some kind of topic, right? Like let's say it's about, we were talking earlier about Maya Angelou's or James Baldwin's work. Oftentimes you're going to have to choose an author or a subject, or maybe even a story or a character in this author's work. So when I'm thinking about that, there's lots of different ways to search in here, but perhaps what we want to do is kind of start broadly. Like, who should we pick, Jason? James Baldwin, maybe?
Yeah, we can do. Let's do James Baldwin at first, and let's say hypothetically, we want to do something on James Baldwin. We don't have necessarily a story or anything yet. We just know that that's our author, so we'll put that in.
And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to use in this database, James Baldwin would be our person, by, or about, because we want sources about James Baldwin's work and his life and those kinds of things. You could do some other things here, but I'm not so interested in the name of work would be like a story title, or a keyword would be if I had a theme in mind or something like that. But what I can do from here is just kind of survey what's available in this database. Now, you'll see there's a whole host of different source options. Everything from biographies to these topic overviews or work overviews. That's a really great way to start generating some ideas for a topic if you haven't had a topic already. You can even find primary sources in here. You can find examples of short stories or poems right here. But often what you'll be dealing with, especially on an annotated bibliography kind of assignment, is this literature criticism stuff. I think of that often as just a kind of a fancy way of saying literary analysis, right? It's sources that are going to study a piece of literature or an author or something like that. And it's not going to be written from, like a scientific lens, right? They're studying it and analyzing it and coming to conclusions about it. And these are from literary experts. So if I was scrolling through here and I was looking for something on James Baldwin here, maybe I could do something with my topic on Sonny's Blues. That's a great, one of his classic stories there. And what we could do is we could take a look at this source and talk a little bit about how to use this information, right? This is literary analysis. This is like a pretty common source you're going to be dealing with here. So as you scroll through here, you're going to see this article, and this is what you're looking for evidence. As you're building that annotated bibliography, you're going to want to summarize this article a little bit, and you're going to want to talk a little bit about what conclusions that these authors formulated and how it relates to your topic and those kind of things.
Yeah, and Ross, the second paragraph, can you just read verbatim, please?
Oh, yes. I believe this is...
Can you just spit that out, please? It looks like it's in Dutch.
I think it's Dutch, and that's interesting. I mean, some articles in here are translated from their original source. I don't have a really good explanation for that, other than I can see this actually came from the African Online Scientific. So who knows there? That's kind of interesting. But if we were tasked with doing this annotated bibliography assignment or any research assignment, really, what we'd be doing is we'd be mining this source for evidence that we could use to help formulate our conclusions or to help support a point that we're trying to make, something like that. And here is the entire source. You can see it's kind of lengthy. These scholarly articles they're not brief. I mean, it says right here, this is a 5,000 word article. Like your research paper, your annotated bibliography project might not even be 5,000 words. So you can see that there's a lot of depth to these types of sources there. So let's say I found a source here. I mean, there's lots of things I could do with it. You can print anything you want from this database. You can save anything you want from this database. You can cite anything you want from this database right here. Gives me a pretty good example of an MLA citation. And so on. Like, it's a really, really great starting point for your research projects. It does a lot of other things in here too. Like you have a lot of really cool options. Like I use this search within button all the time because if I had 200 articles about James Baldwin, well, I probably don't have time to read 200 literature criticism articles to figure out what's going to work in my project.
So on that one, let's type in the word brother. Let's see what we come up with, because I believe Giovanni's room, there's something with a brother.
Let's try it.
Let's see what we get.
So we knocked it down from 200 to 89. That's a good start. That's half as many articles that I have to review, right? Mm-hmm. And they all should be a little bit more relevant because we know that they all talk about James Baldwin, his work, and they all must mention that word brother somewhere in the text. And what's cool about this database is you can even keep adding layers to it. If 89 is still too many, maybe I can add another phrase to this that might get me a little bit closer to my goal. So it's a really iterative kind of search in this database. I love it for that purpose.
Oh, did I say Giovanni's room? I meant Sonny's Blues. That's the one I meant. Okay.
Well, and we could even do that now. We could add Sonny's Blues, and I'll put it in quotation marks because I want that exact phrase. I know that Sonny's Blues is the title. So when we do that, now we're down to 28 articles that definitely talk about James Baldwin's work, definitely mention the word brother in there, and definitely talk about Sonny's Blues. So I often think of literary research as kind of chipping away at a block. You start kind of broad, and then you find ways to make your search a little bit more narrow. And it worked. I mean, we got down to 28. That's a good number to work with.
Right, and this is when we were just looking at James Baldwin as a person, correct? We didn't even
Mhm.
get into a story or characters,
Right.
which are some of the other avenues that one can take to reach that destination of an annotated bib. You can either,
Mhm.
check with your assignment criteria, talk to your professor, but in that one, go. Let's see if you can put James Baldwin just at the
Mhm.
bottom, and then on the top one, put in what did I put in? Put in brother.
Mhm. See, yeah, now using this keyword search, it's gonna be a little bit less broad. Like, when we were using that search within, it was searching every word of every article. But when we use the keyword, it's gonna be kinda like a main idea in your search. So if I was writing an annotated bibliography and I had this focus to my project here, I think this would be a really good way to go about it. Because now I only got those 5 sources.
Now look on number 3, result number 3. 4. James
4.
Baldwin James, yeah.
Yeah. So
So
this
take a
is
look at that, and then on the right-hand side, now you're getting into some other things too, where
Mhm.
there's a whole, laundry list of related subjects. So once again, the reason I'm noting this, Ross, is that if you don't have any of those you're like, who is this
Right.
author? I don't know anything about them. Well, type their name into one of these databases, and this one is the Gale Literature Resource
Mhm.
Center. And then on the right-hand side, you have a lot of different things on there. Um, uh, do, 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 do. Okay, and then I was trying to look on the bottom. Do you see? Oh, okay, I see Giovanni's room. Do you see Sunny's? Okay, I don't see Sunny's.
I don't see it on
No,
there, but
I believe that's a
um,
story in a collection. No.
I think it is.
Yeah.
It's a short story.
Okay.
Um, but Jason's right. A lot of times, your professor in an English 2 class is going to say, "Hey, you have to pick an author from your textbook, and you can write about literally anything you want," which is great in some ways. I mean, you have total freedom. But in other ways, you've got to formulate that topic, right? And like, this is a great way to start going, well, okay, what are the main themes in James Baldwin's work? Like,
Oh, try
what could I
family
focus on?
relations. What can I focus
Yeah.
on? Try family relations.
Well, it's gonna do our search a little different now when I click on it. Now this is gonna find all
Oh,
literature, but
I
we
don't
could
see.
start searching within.
Okay,
Maybe
so
I
now
want
what
to
are we doing?
put
Now we're doing James Baldwin. Okay,
maybe
or
I'll put
Sunny.
James Baldwin in there. And now I'm gonna find anything that talks about family relations as my subject. There's lots of ways to approach this. I mean, that's kind of the key takeaway with any of this kind of research, this literary analysis. You can approach it from lots of different angles and arrive at perfectly valid sources. Because anything that falls into this general category is what your professor will be looking for. This literature criticism. That's the kind of stuff that you're going to be basing your projects on, if that makes sense.
Okay. And so
So
what else is in this? Is there anything? Should we hop to another database and take a look? So again,
I
we
think
went to
so. Yeah, let's
seminolestate.edu/library, and then when you clicked on databases right there in the
bases.
middle, then walk me through. Did you go to choose a
What
subject?
I
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
what I did was I changed my subject to English 2 in literature, and
There we go.
from here we're back to our options.
Yeah.
So we can take a look at another one if you'd like.
Let's do Bloom's literature, and this is mainly, I believe, for ENC 1101s. If you're just going to get into some literature, that I prefer this one. I like this one. It's not that we go home every night and go, "Ooh, what's your favorite database?" But I'm a visual person, so I like the pictures. There's Hemingway there, and
It's
there's some folks, and then on the right hand side you have a couple of different things, author index and so on.
mhm.
But let's flip it up. Let's do Vonnegut. Let's do Kurt
Okay.
Vonnegut. I think this naming convention is last name comma first name. It looks like the whole thing, so maybe we change
You're right.
it.
So even when I typed it in there, it suggested like, "Hey, I think you mean it this way."
Right,
And
right.
sometimes it's you got to play the ball game in their court. Like, if that's the way this database likes us to talk about it, okay, we learned something, right? So as I'm searching there, this database is still literary information here. Like, so we're in the right ballpark. We're still looking at the right types of sources, but it's going to look different. It's going to give us some different options.
Yeah, and the reason I like this one is to go back to the James Baldwin scenario. If now we don't want to do our annotated bibliography on the author specifically, but we want to do it, let's say, on one of the characters, well, then Ross, on the right-hand side, go ahead and click on the third one down. I believe character
Yeah, character.
there. And so now you can start to get, again, sort of a list of different characters that would be found in various, and I mean various for Kurt Vonnegut, a laundry list of books. So scroll down. So let's click on let's do Billy Pilgrim or
Billy
Kill
Pilgrim.
Cow. Okay, Billy Pilgrim. So Billy Pilgrim is the main character in the book Slaughterhouse 5. And so if you were doing an annotated bibliography on that, this would be a pretty good place to find that information. Yeah. And so when you're in there, you can also see some of the same sort of bells and whistles on top. You could save it, print it, share it. You can also do the citation button. That's very similar to the other. What are the tags? When you click on the tags, what does that mean?
Yeah, like, so I saw that they have these tags over there. So I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen, but like, let's say I clicked on Slaughterhouse 5. Is it going to restart? So it finds anything that's tagged with it. So kind of got away from our initial search, but we're still in the right area.
Sure, and it could open you back up to finding out what other characters are in the story other than Billy Pilgrim, because I believe there's George V. O'Hare. There's a lot of different folks because this is a book on time dashing, right? He goes back in time. He is unstuck in time. And so that's a very good book. I recommend that if it's going to pop up and one of your assignments, and especially that author. But mainly we wanted to focus on the right hand side for the character. Well, what happened when you didn't do character? What if I just wanted to do it back on what are my other options there? Let's see.
Let's go back a step.
Yeah, let's go back a step here. So we're now in Bloom's Literature Database. We have an annotated bibliography to do. We've been assigned, or we've chosen, the author Kurt Vonnegut, and we just looked at different characters. How to write about entry. Wait a minute. How to write about entry. Is that correct? that doesn't. Okay. So this is what? What's the very first result? How to write about Kurt Vonnegut. Well, great. Well, this is helpful. And as you click on there, you could start to see. Let's see who are. Topics and strategies. Okay, great. So there's sample topics. And Ross, if you scroll down, can you find sample topics? And it should say fate and free will.
Sample topic. Where is that? Did I pass it?
Scroll down a little bit.
All the way down.
All the way. A little bit. That was it. Up.
There it is. Sample topics.
Okay. So when you see there in bold, fate and free will, now that's going to be part of your thesis, right? That's going to be what you're looking for, meaning that you are talking about the various themes either throughout this book or the other books of that. What's the second one? Well, I already mentioned that this person is unstuck in time. Okay, so they're time traveling, going back and forth between wars and present day, whenever present day was. So number 2, a sample topic is dehumanization and the effects of science and technology. And then you could start to see there other books, such as The Sirens of Titan, Breakfast of Champions, where we are talking about some of those themes. So again, we're giving you sort of a different avenues to travel down once you get the assignment and go, I got to do an annotated bibliography. What's that? Okay, I have an author. Do I want to do it on the author? Do I want to do characters in a story? Do I want to do it about particular stories, right? And this gives you an example of that. Also, mental illness. Number 4, the quest for meaning and purpose. Well, I would imagine if you're time traveling, you probably have a quest for meaning and purpose, right? For those select few who are able to time travel in a stolen DeLorean.
So yeah, I think this is a fantastic way to get familiar with your topic and even like hone in on a specific topic. And then this database, just like the last one we saw, it's going to have those criticism sources as well. So like as you're collecting information that would go into your research projects, your bibliographies and all, these are the types of sources your professors are going to be looking for. So use all of those things, like all of that reference stuff that we just looked at is so crucial to helping you formulate those ideas. Then once you've got your ideas, you can start digging into that, like the analysis stuff, and you'll have a better handle on what it even means when you're looking at it.
Right, and then to go back to the whole purpose of the, we'll share that. Stop sharing that screen there for a minute. Hello, we're back. We want to condense what we've read, right? So we're doing an annotated bibliography. So it's not like a book report. We want to read the information and then we want to synthesize it. Is that correct?
Sure.
I mean, how would you define it? I'm trying to come up with a pretty
well. So an annotated bibliography, what you're doing in an annotated bibliography is you're summarizing your source. And you're kind of evaluating the source too at the same time. You're talking about how it fits in with your topic and how you plan to use it as evidence towards making a point, or things like that. That's what comprises like the annotation in an annotated bibliography. And I think what's important to remember is that when you're doing an assignment like that, it's designed to prepare you for the next step. If you have an annotated bibliography project, you're probably also going to have a research paper project or something. And what your professor is hoping that you do is you'll collect some sources up front that will help you to outline your paper and kind of map out your ideas, so that writing the paper isn't as laborious. So that's what you're looking for in these sources is what is it about? How can I use it? And what does it actually contribute to my topic?
Yeah, let me drop some of these into the chat here. So this is our subject guide for ENC 1102. I'm doing that one first, and then ENC 1101. No particular order. You may just be in one of these two classes here, and these are our library resource guides that we have for you. And so I think that they can come into play. This is the ENC 1101, and you could take a look, writing essays and papers for English. These will give you the quick links to articles and books and ebooks and websites and videos. Also, if you're looking for assistance for MLA, your citations can be here. But let's take a look over here. Do we see chosen for you? Okay, so we have opposing viewpoints, SIRS, CG. Okay, I was trying to see if there was one specifically for an annotated bib. Here's some ebooks. Okay, so this is a broad overview, right? But not particularly for. Was that what merm was that? You made a merm. I heard a merm noise.
Oh, I was just saying.
I know what you said. We heard you. Oh, okay. Merm. Agree. Okay, and great. And so this is the English 2, right? And there's some Norton information, but do you see anything? Novels and book chapters? Oh, short stories. So this could be something where, great. And this gives you a good breakdown, right, of how we can choose. Let's see if we go back into B. Did we ever get anything for B? No James Baldwin. Is there a V for Kurt Vonnegut? Let's go all the way to V. Kurt Vonnegut, Sylvia Plath. I think we ended. That's a P. Oh, we're still getting there. V? Russell? R? No.
What this guy is one of our buddies, Carly, one of our librarians here, she dissected like the whole literature book and went and found as many of the stories as she could online and stuff. So it's potentially that there's just no James Baldwin stories that are really available, at least the ones that are in the textbook.
Right. So there are other some other places that you can take a look at. So I'm going to drop this in for the this is Owl Purdue, just to take a look at. These are some annotated bibliography samples, and you'll see here. I'll make it a little bigger. Is it? Oh, I did the wrong screen. There we go. How's that?
That's good.
Okay. Just right. So you can see this is a sample, right? And you have your citation here on the top, right? This is our author. This is the name of the book. It's the publisher, and then that's the year. And then as we're looking down here, you could start to see, right? The writer includes 3 paragraphs. In this model, it's a summary, an evaluation of the text, and then a reflection. Is that correct, Ross? Is that how you would? Okay.
That sounds exactly like what your professors are going to be expecting.
Okay, great. And so you could take this, having never read this book, this author, never even we're here in this year. And then as you take a look, if you follow that sort of format, you'll know that this is the summary. Then you have your evaluation of the text. And then finally, here you go. This is going to be your reflection and how it applies to your research and so on, or whatever the criteria for the assignment is. So I wanted to share that one with you. Do you have any particulars? Do you have one that you like, Ross? What was the Cornell University one?
The Cornell one's pretty good. Yeah, I think they do a good job. But I mean, that's what it looks like. Your annotated bibliography, I think it sounds really big and scary and awful. And I have students all the time who are freaked out about it. But at the end of the day, it's just that paragraph for each entry. And you just do it 5 times if you have to have 5 sources. But it doesn't need to be more complicated than that.
Right, and this one is just a little different. And so this is also using APA style, so that'll get tricky. And you do want to make sure that you know which citation format style you're using. And this is going to look a little different, right? And you could see here, this isn't the 3 paragraphs, right? This is 1 paragraph. So I, again, would look at the assignment criteria, check with your professor, and make sure that you are getting the right information from the person who's grading your assignment, right? We can only lead you to water. Also the writing center, right? The academic success center, and the tutors can help you sort of plot that out and, get your thoughts onto the page. But again, it's going to be looking at the assignment criteria. Do you want to do it on the author, right? Do you want to do it on characters from a particular story? How did you get to choose? Was it different stories from a collected works? Or do you want to just do it on different characters, or you have your own story and then you kind of have a benchmark of where you're going to go? Oh, I want to do it on Sonny's Blues. Great. Sonny's Blues. We looked at a couple of different databases, or if it's just something way bigger. And I think the third example we had Kurt Vonnegut and James Baldwin, but we were talking about Maya Angelou. And if we were going to do something like, my thesis is, she writes from autobiography. She puts a lot of herself into her work. Well, she's written six autobiographies. So where do we start? You start at the beginning? And that's a good question too. What is autobiography number 3? What did I not put in the first? And then when I do number 6, am I thinking of a 7th? Did I just not get to it? Like, that's a long life. You have 6 autobiographies and 300 pages each. That's pretty intense. But that was the other one that we had, right? Maya Angelou. Okay. Did you want to look at that third database, or you think that?
Sure. Yeah, we could go ahead and pull up a third one here. One that I like a lot too. I think the 2 that we've looked at are really, really good choices. That Literary Reference Center database in that list is also very good. It's a little bit more, maybe the word is traditional database, if you've seen other databases before. If you haven't, though, it's really designed for searching. The other ones do browsing really well, and they kind of like lead you through the information gathering process. In this database, it's going to expect that you kind of already know what you're looking at. So if I was looking at, Maya Angelou and autobiography, I could search that here and probably do pretty well. I found 78 things. And this database everything works a little differently. It does the same kind of things. If you see over here, you're going to see the types of sources it has. Maybe I'll even make mine bigger there. This database is kind of tiny, but you'll see it has literature criticism in there, but it also has, I didn't mean to click that, but it also has those reference books that we saw in the other one that are going to talk a little bit about their life and their work and their career, that kind of stuff, and plot summaries. That was the same thing we saw with those topic overviews in the Gale literature database. So in this database too, some of the stuff that's in here that's labeled as literature criticism, or I guess I should say some of the stuff that's not labeled as literary analysis, most professors still consider a level of literary analysis. Like these book sources here, they're probably, I would consider that a work of literary analysis, even though it's not labeled as literature criticism. That's to get real nerdy and geeky. But these articles...
you like this database better than the other 2? Remember, we go home every night and we go, hey, Ross, we text each other and we say, what's your favorite database today, Ross? Yeah. And he says, I like... what are we on? EBSCO host, Jason. Good night. And I say, text back, I like Bloom's literature, Ross. Good night. And we have really dumb text message exchanges.
Well, I like this one in the sense that I think it has a really good variety of sources. I still think the Gale literature database will have the most, but this one does really well too. Bloom's literature does fine. They're all good at what they do. A lot of it just comes down to preference too. But this database is a little different. Like we have to search for our sources, and then we can get all of our information. Like right here on this page, when I clicked on the article's title, it gives me everything I need to build my citation. But it'll even do us one better. If you come to this right column over here, they have a cite button. They'll help me cite it, just like we saw in that last database. They'll help us make an MLA citation for it.
And note too that's we're on MLA 9, right? We looked a moment ago and there was something on MLA 8. So you do have to pay attention and keep it going, right? And that's why I pointed out that the other one looks different, because we might not be using certain criteria for our citations. So on this, would you say that this is more advanced than from the other 2? Because I would probably go to either of the other 2 and then come here. No?
Yeah, I suppose this one could be considered a little bit more advanced in that, like, you already have to have your ideas formulated here. It doesn't work really well to browse. I mean, if I was to just search for Maya Angelou, I'm going to find a ton of stuff, but it's not going to really help me much. I have 400 or 350 articles, but then what? Right? The other databases give you some of those things that you can use to formulate those ideas. This one, you're really kind of in it. So yeah, maybe Jason's right. Like I would use this more as like once I've got my ideas and I need to start collecting sources, then you might step to this one.
Yeah, for sure, because the other ones give you more, and I don't have to sell you on it. This is the researcher's conundrum, right? Which database do I go? I'm hungry. Which fast food restaurant do I go to? Right? I mean, that's the lifestyle that we're in. However, I think once you do use a database that has given you some sort of fulfillment, i.e., you've learned the knowledge that you were searching to gain from that database, you might want to stick with it. And that might be your main database. So that's kind of why I've looked at those other two. And that isn't to say that these aren't good, but I like the other two because they really give me more of a, this is the character, here's how to write. I like the previous database. Here's how to write about this author and so on. So, what about the years, Ross? What do we think about the years? If we're evaluating for credibility, say we wanted to do something in the social media, the negative effects of social media on teenagers, we probably don't want something that's 5, 10, 15, 20 years old. Social media probably wasn't around 20 something 5 years ago. And, 95, we got the internet going, but maybe history or maybe English. Maybe you don't have to worry about those parameters, right? What's your thoughts on that for the year?
So with literary analysis, I don't tend to worry so much about it because, I mean, people have been studying this material for years and years, and maybe the understanding of it has changed over time. But a lot of times, since we're dealing with like this literary analysis, we're not dealing with like scientific evidence. So a lot of those interpretations are still pretty valid over time. So I'm not so worried when I see 2010, but to Jason's point there, like if I was looking at social media trends from 2010, I would be pretty outdated, I think. Like I don't think anything would be the same as it was in 2010 at this point.
Yeah, and on that note too, I mean, so the research wasn't written for that one in 2009? Right? I mean, somebody came up with a new idea in 2010. So you mean over 12 years where I'm in 2022. I don't know about you. You mean nobody's come up with a new idea? So maybe there's a new angle, and that's why your professor wants, because we're constantly researching, we're constantly uncovering and discovering, and there's also new things in our surroundings, in our cosmos, in our environment that are changing how we do the research, right? In history, maybe we go find a mummy one day, or we find a new fossil or a new bone, and then that's the oldest dinosaur ever, and then the next day, hey, we found that's the oldest dinosaur ever. However, when you went back to scroll up a little bit, it said something about art, the art one, right? Role playing as art. Now, whatever that is, number 3, maybe?
Number 3, I might have scrolled past it. Yes.
I think so. Click on that. Does it give us a little bit of a synopsis? Because that could probably be changing. Past books, resulted, tension, right? Consciousness. Okay. So there's gonna be others who can maybe take a new approach to that, but maybe there was approach before. I don't know. I mean, this is what you're looking at, Ross is looking at, Jason's looking at when we're doing this criticism, right? When was the criticism? When did it happen? If something came out, if we go back to Sonny's Blues, and there's drug talk, and there's homosexuality, there's a lot of different topics that are in there. Actually, do you want to go back? Can we go back? Let's go back to James Baldwin.
Yeah, you want to do it?
Yeah, let's do it in here.
Let's do it.
Just what we got, because I just want to showcase the different topics or the different. And where do we?
Notice how many more sources we have on James Baldwin than Maya Angelou in this database. It's like double to almost triple the amount. That's one of those things. As you're choosing sources or choosing resources, I guess. Like if I was choosing a database, I might want to run some searches in each one too, just to see like, oh, this one works really well for James Baldwin research. Maybe the other one had fewer. Every single topic is different.
Right. On that note of topics, where in this database do we find those topics that I was discussing? How do we find it? Because it looks like it's just James Baldwin. That's why I like the other database better, Ross.
Yeah. I mean, there are ways you can shape this. A lot of times these
Uh,
subject terms will help me kind of come up with ideas. If I find an article that looks really good, that's how they're describing it in this database. So if I wanted to find similar articles, they're telling me, oh, this is the vocabulary that you can use,
right.
or these are the main ideas. I use those often when I'm searching.
Yeah, it looked like the big one in there is going to be racism.
Yeah.
That's a theme that's coming in and out of James Baldwin's works. However, if I hijack your screen for a second and I go back to my favorite, Ross, I would have texted you tonight and say, Bloom's Literature, my favorite database. Over here on the right-hand side, I think you're going to get maybe some more topics and themes to choose from,
Yes.
which again is what you want to get a Porsche, you want to drive a Maserati, you want to drive a Lambo. I mean, they're all high-end cars, right? I mean, one's going to look the same, one's not going to look the same. Here, this is kind of where I go, oh, this is a good, these are different people here. Where did I want to go? Theme and structure, maybe? Character? Essay topics? Well, I'm having a lot of fun here. Is there an audience watching? I hope so. So these are some of the ones that I would probably want to go to, and I'd probably either want to do, I'm getting mixed up with Giovanni's Room and Sunny's Blues, but this is the one that I would want to end up at. And then this could be really helpful too, again, when you're trying to craft your thesis statement. Key themes. Okay, so here are the brothers, Ross. Maybe we should have done brothers. Not
Yeah,
sure.
that can make a difference.
There's a mother's funeral, and then there's a prison. So there's a lot of different things that are going on. I think that's part of the research. I think we showed you 3 different databases that I would highly recommend. I think Ross would echo that sentiment if we were doing ENC 1101 or 1102 for that matter. Because again, you do want to look very closely at your assignment criteria. Make sure you know when it's due. Make sure you know what it is that you're doing, and then start now. Right? This is week 3. Try to come up with. It's week 3, right? Try to come up with where am I going with this? You have to be reading at some point. There's got to be some readings in an English class. You have to either do a short story or something from a collection or pick an author. But that's how my brain would be thinking of these assignments. Where do I go? And then start perusing around. Start plucking out the themes or the highlights as you see them, right? Because those themes and highlights are going to be very if you're looking at something like death in the family or something, it's not necessarily death in the family in Sunny's Blues and how did the character and the mother die. That's a really long, that's like a Google search, and we do not want to do it that long. But sometimes students will come in and say, hey, well, where's the, Maya Angelou? What kind of a bird was the caged bird that sings? What was the name of the bird? And it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe let's stick with the themes and the topics and that kind of stuff. All right, Ross, good talking to
you. Yeah.
Okay, so we have 3 eyeballs here on the viewer. We're blowing the gates wide open here. Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead and drop a link in the chat or a hello in the chat. This has been helpful for you. Give us a Y for yes, an N for no. And then we want to make sure that we get you your first year experience credit if you're here to get some of that credit. We're getting ready for Nightbrary at the Sanford Lake Mary campus. We'll be doing that this evening at 5 o'clock, so about T-minus 22 minutes. Anyone in the chat? Oh, we have 4 viewers in the chat. Oh, I should just keep saying in the live stream, keep watching. 4 viewers. And we are on a little bit of a delay, so we'll pay attention here. Ross, as I'm looking on the replay, we are way back we're on a very lagging delay.
Oh.
You're still clicking on the EBSCO database, so that was like 1,000 years ago. I see Macy. All right, Macy. Macy gives us a yes. Okay.
Cool.
We got you. I'm assuming that's to get the first year experience credit. Is that what that is? All right, Macy, we'll give you a challenge then. What was the favorite database that we looked at? Or give us one that you remember that you looked at. Anyone else? There's 4 viewers. We have 4 viewers. Fantastic. My math isn't good, but it's Nordana. Okay, we got you too. Okay. Roster there.
Wonderful.
It's happening. All right, so what's your favorite database then? So this is the technology. Where's our time machine? How come we're not unstuck in time right now? So looking on the replay or on the YouTube, Ross, now we just got to James Baldwin's page. So
wow.
How long ago did we do that? An hour? We have 5 viewers? There are 5 viewers. It's like a telethon. It keeps going up. Keep going. Can we get a 6? 6. Do I hear 6? Going on 7. Going on 7. 7. Okay. So we'll just put up a. Oh, you know what? Now might be a time for I think it's we got time for a commercial. Yeah, because that is a really good product. So make sure to, fork over your money. It's a good product. Okay, just waiting for the rest of the YouTube to catch up with the StreamYard. Oh, we lost a viewer. Maybe we should start buttoning it up. It up. Okay. Macy did chime in. The Gale database. That's great. Likes that one. Fantastic.
Solid choice.
Okay, great. So thank you for that. And then let's drop the. Should we drop? How do we do this, Ross? Should we drop the text number in?
Sure. I don't know how to do it.
I know how to do it. I'm just saying, if you do the text number now. Okay, let's see here. Where's our text number? I got it, I think.
Oh.
Okay, so if you're looking for your experience credit, you're sending this text number here. Oh, Ross, there you go. You DM'd me.
Oh, I did.
Did you send me your favorite text number? You really did. All right, so send us a text there. We'll get you your first year experience credit. Send us a text there, and we will get to it now. For Library Ross Martin, I'm Information Jason. We're librarians, Sanford Lake Mary Campus, Seminole State College of Florida Libraries. Thank you. Good night. Have a good time. We'll see you. I'm getting to the button here. I have to press the button. Where is it? Have a good night. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Okay. Later. Why won't it stop?